Hey guys, welcome to Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God. This is going to be a different kind of video. I've been doing a lot of videos about homeschooling recently, and this is a different kind of video. If you can tell, I was just in the shower. In the shower, I have time to think that I don't have when I'm out and people are asking me questions and everything. So this video today is going to touch kind of a trigger warning or whatever you want to call it for people. This video today is going to touch on the Lindsay Clancy case. And I want to add to this that I have not watched the case and I have never dealt with postpartum depression. But my video is not going to go into how you should treat postpartum depression and all of that stuff. So if you have never dealt with it, we need to give grace to our sisters. Well, we need to give grace to all women, specifically our sisters in Christ who have dealt with it. And if you have dealt with it, I don't know if they're all yelling outside. If you have dealt with it, please watch my video and tell me if what I'm saying would be helpful, because I'm not trying to fix postpartum depression. I'm trying to have women learn how to help other women, whether they're dealing with depression or not. So if these things that I'm mentioning in the video would have been helpful to you while you were dealing with postpartum depression, please let me know below, because that's what I'm trying to get across. So I have not watched any of the Lindsay Clancy case, and so I do not have any thoughts one way or the other of what's going on there. And so the reason I am not watching the case is I do not feel that it is good for my well-being as a person. I am glad that we have judges. I am glad that we have attorneys. I'm glad that we have all of those people to be part of figuring out what happened, what didn't happen, all of that. But my own mental faculties, like how much energy I have to put into something, can't be focused on things outside my house so much. So I'm seeing little bits and clips of what people are saying. I'm not even like going on clips of what's being said at the trial. I'm just seeing people are posting about it. And I see people either saying, I don't want people to think that I'm defending the murders that happened. And I don't want people to think that I am not compassionate towards women, because neither of those are the case. And it is okay to not veer on the far side of either of those. I personally think that as women who need to keep a good emotional home life for everybody in their home, need to focus more on what's going on inside their home than what's going on in the world around them. Again, I am thankful for all the people who are the judges, the attorneys, police officers, firefighters, all those people who see evil in the world every day. But I think as a stay-at-home mom, we really need to focus on whatever is good, whatever is holy, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, that list of things. We can turn on our social media and see evil all over the world. And when we focus on all that evil, we tend to forget how much good God has put in this world and the things to focus on. So I think there are a lot of people, and it's not just about this case, it's about lots of things, who are putting focus on things that do not specifically influence their lives. So instead of putting all of our focus on this case or on other things, I think we should be putting our focus on how we can actually make the world a better place through God. This is a Christian video. Someone's upset outside and it's okay. Someone's with them. Instead of turning on what's happening on today's trial, is there a postpartum mom that you can be praying for? Maybe she's having a rough time. Maybe she's having an easy time, but both of them still need prayers. Maybe one's dealing with sleep deprivation, maybe dealing with postpartum depression, maybe dealing with like unsupportive family around them. Those people need prayers. But the one who's just dealing with the newborn, is this okay? Have they had enough wet diapers? Is my nursing going okay? They need prayers too, because every mom is having those thoughts. So, one, when you see one of these stories about the trial, think of someone you can pray for, somebody in your life, because there are a lot of people in this world and we can't be praying for everybody. I mean, we can do like a generic prayer for mothers, but I'm saying really specifically, who can I pray for? Who is in the trenches of motherhood right now? Maybe it's not a brand new mom. Maybe it's someone dealing with some behavioral issues with a 5-year-old. Maybe it's someone dealing with health issues with a 7-year-old. Maybe it's just a mom like me who has a ton of kids, meaning that I have a ton of varying needs. And maybe not all those needs are bad, but there's a lot on my plate. And that's okay. Like, it's not a bad thing that I have a lot on my plate. But I'm sure you can think of some moms in your life that could use prayer. And that would be all moms in your life. So when you see those Facebook posts, turn to how can you pray for someone? The next thing is, how can you physically support a new mom? And in different seasons of life, that's going to look different. For me, I could make a meal for a new mom. And some seasons that's easier for me or not. If I've just had a new baby, I can't. A couple weeks ago, I had a friend who was going through a really hard time. I would have loved to take her a meal, but I was physically going through a miscarriage. And she would have loved to bring me a meal, but because of her circumstance, she couldn't. And so both of us were able to just pray for each other and talk to each other about what we were going through so we could better pray for each other. But most of the time, I could physically take the time to make that loaf of bread or make that pot of soup. We had a young mom in our church who went through a miscarriage a couple months ago, and we put together a little care package for her. Like, I made food and stuff, but I also made a little care package for her daughter because she had a young daughter at home. And we put together crayons and coloring books and toys that we took down to them to give her daughter something new. So those are things you can do when you see whatever you want to say about this trial and what moms with depression should do and stuff. How can you be hands and feet for Jesus? That's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be one anothering each other. And watching the news is not one anothering anyone. How can you do that in your real world? Maybe it's going over and just holding a baby so mom can get a nap or a shower. Maybe it's going over so you could wash the dishes while mom snuggles her baby and doesn't worry about all the things she's feeling inadequate because she can't get everything done. You would have to see from the mom what would be best for her. Maybe it's going over and playing with her other kids. For me, I would feel very unsettled if newly postpartum someone came over and said, "Hey, can I take your kids out to the park?" I would feel really unsettled with that. But if they came over and said, "Hey, can we play games in the front yard with the kids?" I would know that they're close. I would be able to watch out on them, and I'd be able to focus on the new baby. There's so many things you could do. Maybe doing a grocery run for her. Maybe sending groceries to her house. Maybe you can't physically, like I can't physically be there for Virginia because she lives so far away. But when I know she's having a rough day, I can put in a Walmart delivery to her house. Or you could send something via Amazon or whatever. I don't know what you personally have the finances to do or the time to do or anything like that. Sometimes just making the phone call to say, "I'm thinking about you. How can I pray today?" That doesn't help the actual like physical need, but sometimes you can't physically be there. So how can I be praying for you? How can I pray for your family? This is also a very important subject to talk about before postpartum with husbands, because husbands don't understand the major hormone changes that are going on in a woman. But a husband needs to step up. I was talking to Mark last night, and someone was saying, she went weeks without sleep because of the baby. Well, a husband needs to step up and hold the baby so mom can sleep. Because a lot of times baby doesn't actually need to eat. Baby wants that physical comfort. And it took 2 to make the baby. Mom has done all of this work for these 9 months and everything. And sometimes dad just needs to say, "You know what? I'm going to hold the baby. You go take a 2-hour nap. Um, this is something that as moms, we can be teaching our sons. So people might think this is odd or whatever, but a couple weeks ago, I wish I had really given myself permission to do this a long time ago. But a couple weeks ago, I sat down all of the kids. So that is 2 girls, 19 and 11. And that is 6 boys. So the 2-year-old probably wasn't paying a lot of attention, but 6 boys, 16, 14, 11, 16, 14, 8, 6, 4, and 2. I sat them all down and I said, you know what, guys? We're going to talk about a really sensitive topic that some grown men don't even like to talk about. I've been around the homeschool circles enough that I know that there are some grown men who get married and don't understand that girls have a cycle. So I sat the boys down and I would like all of them down. And I was like, we're going to talk about something that there are grown men that are going to say, this is icky. We don't like to talk about this. But it's really important that you do, because the Bible says that we are to, like, husbands are to live with their wives in an understanding way. And if you don't understand your wife, I was talking mostly to the boys. If you don't understand your wife, how are you going to live with her in an understanding way? So on the big whiteboard, I drew a picture of a uterus and fallopian tubes and ovaries. And we discussed about an egg being released every month, and that the baby, if there was going to be a baby that month, would grow in the womb. But if there wasn't going to be a baby, that baby needed food. So like I did this all in like little kid terms. The baby would need food. So the uterus grows a layer to be able to be the nourishment for the baby when they start to grow. But if your body decides there's not going to be a baby this month, if God decides, actually I said, that there's not going to be a baby this month, then all of that stuff needs to go away, because it's going to be old food by next month for the next time you might have a baby. And so we just discussed that. I did not draw any exit areas. We just talked specifically about what happens in the ovaries, fallopian tubes, and uterus. I had someone ask me, well, then how does a baby form? And I said, that's not what we're talking about today. Don't worry about it. And that hasn't come back up. But the idea that boys don't understand how difficult it is for girls to have to go through their cycle every month. They don't understand what's like. I even made it like very little kid friendly. I was like, so boys, if you go in the bathroom, what comes out? And so they told me pee and poop. And I was like, so if you looked in the toilet and there was a dinosaur, would that be a problem? And of course they were like, yes. If there was chocolate milk in the toilet, would that be a problem? Yes. And I said, well, girls sometimes have something other than pee and poop that comes out. And so we made it fun. We made it silly. The kids still talk about it in like a silly way, even though this was a couple weeks ago. And it gave me permission as a mom, as a woman, to be able to, now I can say to the boys, hey guys, remember that thing we talked about the girls have to deal with every month? Mommy is dealing with that, and I'm just really tired. I really need everyone to step up and help more with chores. Because as wives and moms, I think most of us just work through if we're sick or not feeling well. Where I give extra grace to the kids and my husband when they're sick. Like I don't normally give Mark breakfast in bed, but if he's laid out because of a back injury or if he's laid out because he's sick, I'll bring him breakfast in bed, and I don't think twice about it. I think as moms, we work through a lot of things that we never tell our family or specifically our children, that we're dealing with something that's hard, and we really need to give ourselves time to rest. I gave myself that permission with my last miscarriage. I kind of felt things were going on. We were trying to get ready for camp, and I told the kids, you know what? I really need extra rest right now. At the time, I didn't tell them I was having a miscarriage because I didn't know for sure. Hi. But I was having some spotting. And I told the kids, like, I just need you guys to step up. If I ask you to do something, please don't do it with a grumbly voice, which I hope they don't do most of the time. But I was just letting them know. And it gave me that inward peace to be able to say, hey guys, I need some help right now. Because I know as moms, we put too much on our plate. And so doing this, I'm I was able to talk through a miscarriage and what that looks like from like the internal workings of a woman. I was able to talk through cycles. We talked about another big word that sometimes scares adult men. Like I know adult men who do not like to talk about this word, and that word would be hormones. And we talked about how boys have hormones too, like testosterone, but their hormones don't go like this every month, and girls do. And sometimes we need some extra grace because we're feeling very weepy that day. Not because anything's wrong, but the boys have seen me cry, and I don't want them to think that there's a problem like daddy and I are fighting behind closed doors or something like that. I want them to know that sometimes during that, um, the idea that someone said the chicken was a little dry is just going to bring me to tears when it normally wouldn't be a problem. So I want them to know that it's okay for girls to not act the same all month long. I want them to be defenders of girls. When I was in school, we learned about cycles. I think I was in 5th grade, and there was a boy in my class that every day asked me, "Have you started your period yet?" And that's really rude, just saying. That's really rude. But I didn't have any other boys that stood up to me and be like, "Dude, cut it out. It's not your information. You don't need to know." I want my boys to be the defenders of girls who are getting made fun of. I want them to be the defender of the girl who starts her cycle and leaks onto her skirt or her pants and is embarrassed by that. For him to be like, you know what? This is normal. So in the same way that I'd want them to not make fun of the 8-year-old who accidentally pooped his pants because he has a stomach bug or he has some type of disability that's making him do that, but to be able to stand up and be like, hey guys, we don't need to tease people about this. Everybody poops. It's fine. And every girl bleeds, and it's okay. I want them to be able to defend their sisters, but also other girls. I want them to understand that they don't understand. It's okay for someone to say, I don't know exactly how you're feeling right now, but I understand that you need someone who cares. I want them to know that sometimes girls, like we've talked about in the midst of the month, sometimes girls have a whole lot of energy. And sometimes we'd rather sit on the couch and read your books. And they get that. I did not discuss anyone else's, like I discussed the general idea of cycles. I have not told them about who else, because we have multiple people in our home, multiple girls and multiple girls that we visit with on a regular basis. So I didn't discuss anyone else's timing or whatever. And if one of their sisters or one of these other people that visits that know we've had this conversation decide to say, yeah, I'm feeling pretty off today, they can. And if not, that's fine. But my boys now can talk to girls in another way. And my boys now know that when they get married, their wives may struggle with some things because we have these wacky, it is okay as a mom to reach out for help. It is okay to talk to other moms, to go to the doctor if you need that help. We live in a society where we don't have moms and grandmas around for everybody. I do, but not everybody does. So we also sometimes say medication is a bad thing. And I don't think we should jump to medication as the first thing. I think there's a lot of things that we can help with diet, exercise, fresh air. But I know that that doesn't fix everything. And so we should not feel bad that we had to go seek medical help. Or something else I was going to say about this, about having a village. And I think that we, as a society, want to just say, hey, moms, you go do you. You should be happy you have a new baby. And I think you should be happy. And I think God makes that bonding experience and everything. But you also have to remember that they have just added a whole new person to their family. If you found out that someone you knew was having somebody move in, let's say a parent, like a grandparent, move in, or an aunt or uncle was moving in, or some random person was moving in, you'd be like, wow, what do you need help with? Do you need someone to go grocery shopping for you? Do you need someone to do these things? I think we forget that when a mom has a baby, she's inviting a whole new person into her house, and she is becoming a new person because she's now needs to take care of this whole new person. So we need to make sure that we give each other permission to ask for help. We also need to take care of ourselves. I have said in videos before that I think it's really important that mom takes 6 weeks to rest, to let her body recover and all of that. So I don't think that moms should be out trying to get done everything they were doing before they had this baby, because there's a lot of physical stuff that happens with your body. But I also think that women do need the companionship of other people. So for myself, I have a husband who's home all the time because of his disability. And so I have another adult to talk to. But some women don't have that. They have a husband who works long hours. Maybe he even works away from home. So I think it is important to make sure you're still getting that village aspect of inviting a mom into your home, and be that woman who's willing to go, not to be served by the new mom, because I know a lot of people who think the new mom should be doing this. Take her. Say, can I bring over some muffins and coffee so we can sit and chat? Can I come over and do those dishes, do that laundry? Can I come over and just sit with you? There's many different things that a mom might need, but they do need that companionship. So when I've said in the past about making sure you're resting your body, I'm meaning not trying to say, oh, but the kids wanted to go to this baseball tournament, so we're going to go for the whole day. I'm saying resting your body, taking the break, being home to cocoon your new baby, but also getting that companionship from other people. So if you watched this video and it helped you in any way, please let me know. Because I don't want to make videos that people are taking the wrong way. So if there's something in here that I said that you don't quite understand, or you think that it wouldn't be helpful for someone, go ahead and write that in the comments below. I think as moms, we need to focus on the good, the lovely, the beautiful, the truths of God's word more than we focus on the outside world. But we also need to teach our children how to relate to other people. And a lot of people in the homeschool world, maybe in the whole world, because I guess it was for me in public school too, a lot of people don't consider women and all the work that their body's doing through periods and pregnancy and childbirth. And think of what that means for a mom to totally have her world changed in a really, really good way. But it is changed. So we will see you guys next time on Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God.